Dr. West, during the Obama era, you were on the receiving end of some, rather vicious attacks, and I always felt like, you know, mainstream media sort of kept you at an arm's length because you had some particularly biting critiques of Obama because you were critiquing him from his left. So my question for you is, what was your last straw with him? Mine was the drone war. Was it the drone war, the Wall Street bailout, not prosecuting Bush for torture? What was it?
I mean, mine was his close relation to Wall Street. You remember that was a moment in which it was very clear that Wall Street crimes were massive, and Wall Street power was being deployed in such an arbitrary way against precious, poor, and working people. Insider trading, market manipulation, fraudulent activity, predatory lending, and so forth. And when he made it very clear, because many of us sat with him, 2007, we sat down and talked with him. And I had a long conversation with my dear brother, and he was very honest with me. He said, "Look, Brother West, I know I'm not as progressive as you are in terms of certain issues." And I said, "That's fine. I supported Bill Bradley. I love Bill Bradley. He wasn't as progressive in that way either. I supported Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton wasn't as progressive, but they were just the best relative to the other folk who were running." But when it became clear that the Geithner connection, the Robin Rubin connection, the Larry Summers connection, the connection with the Wall Street folk, and then the connection with Brennan and the others, the counterterrorist groups coming out of the Bush administration that had facilitated the torture, again, crimes against humanity. Once it was clear that that was his group, that was his connection, even as I supported him, because I started early on in Iowa and I ended the night of the campaign in Ohio. So I did all of those events for free, and I would do it again just because I thought it was right. But it was clear to me that he just didn't have the backbone. He was not a fighter for poor and working people. He was much more a very brilliant, sharp politician who was centrist, moderate, and neoliberal in his sensibilities. And then, of course, the drones that you talk about, my brother. I mean, I early on had called George Bush a war criminal when he had 45 drones dropped. And so Obama 563, I think, is a recent count. Those were war crimes. So I called him a war criminal over and over again. And you can imagine that did not make me a popular brother in the black community. And I told them, I said, "Hey, look, I love black people till the day I die, but I don't say or speak anything in order to get people to love me. People are worthy of being loved even when I disagree with them. So it's not a quid pro quo issue that I'm fighting for black folk, fighting for working people, fighting for women dealing with patriarchal violence. And I'm not getting them, I'm not doing that in order for them to love me." So yes, I was highly unpopular in the black community because everybody was supposed to get around Obama and protect him. And I would protect him against Fox News, but I would not protect him in terms of acting as if criticism, honest, serious criticism in regard to crimes against humanity like drones, like Wall Street greed, like mass incarceration, like militarizing the police departments. And that was under Eric Holder, who was a black brother, who I loved the brother, but he's wrong as he could be in that regard. Same is true with the Homeland Security cabinet member who was a black brother, who's my alpha brother. So, your brotherhood cuts much deeper than politics, but you had to be honest and candid with people. And during those 8 years, I had some very rough and bumpy days. Back to Betty Davis again. I had some bumpy days. But the irony now is I go back to those same sites, churches, community centers where I do go back. Now, the folks, brothers in the prison were with me all the way. So when I teach in the prison, they still see me as, "Brother, you saying the same thing." I said, "You're right." But I go back to those same sites now, and folk will say, "Well, Brother West, you were more right than we realized. We see exactly what you were saying now. We appreciate you holding out against the grain." I said, "Well, I'm just trying to be true to my calling. I'm just trying to be true to my vocation." You see, doesn't make me any better.